Alright, boom, what's up? Welcome to MetaHuman, Bengo and Brett here. And today we're going to talk a bit about macros.
Yeah, let's talk about macros.
If you should pick up on
I don't know, let's test it.
just play back.
Yeah,
You can play back.
It's one last piece.
Yeah. Alright, boom. Macros. So Brett here is like expert on macros. It's just he understand. He was the first person to introduce me to it. So I'm like, Dad, just to start it off, what exactly is macros?
Macros are basically macronutrients. You know, food is broken down into micro and macronutrients.
Okay.
Now, probably if we rewind a little bit,
Yeah.
the number one takeover you want to take out from macros is that calories in makes an organism bigger. So, like, if it is you have a surplus of calories,
Yeah.
and metabolism stays the same.
That's the constant.
That's the constant. The person or whatever it is
animal, yeah.
gets bigger.
Okay.
If it is you have a caloric deficit,
Yeah.
the person will get smaller.
Okay.
And you can break this down right down to the numbers. You know, like when it is you buy something and like you buy a pack of cornflakes or a kiss cake or
Yeah.
a protein bar, at the back they have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
These are all macro and micronutrients.
Okay.
So food is made up of nutrients, and you have macro and micros. Macros are like vitamins, minerals, calcium,
Yeah.
fiber, vitamins, potassium.
Okay. Yeah.
But the calories in and out, if it is you're looking at body size,
Yeah.
is only the macronutrients. These are the only nutrients that contain calories.
Calories. Okay.
There are 3 macronutrients. It's fat, carbs, and protein. Your body metabolizes these different macronutrients differently. So let's say
This is kind of big,
Yeah.
obvious. Metabolize means breakdown to be able to use as
to be able to be used in
As
your body.
fuel,
As
okay,
fuel.
yeah.
As fuel. So that your body breaks down these 3 differently. So if it is you're trying to maintain, let's say you have an average guy at I don't know what's an average. Let's say somebody's 170 and he's at 170 and he is consuming 2,300 calories a day.
Okay.
If it is he consumes 2,500 calories a day, he's going to get bigger. If it is he consumes 2,000 calories a day,
It's
he's going to get smaller.
Yeah.
If he maintains that 2,300, he's going to theoretically stay the same size if his metabolism remains constant.
Yeah. That means no change in exercise.
No change in exercise, no change in how fast his body is breaking down these nutrients.
Okay.
Now, if it is you want to change your body composition, that is the amount of fat to
But
muscle.
that is actually the important, well, not it's the important part, but
Yeah.
that is probably, I would say, from the outside, the
meat to the matter.
meat in the matter.
Yeah.
You know, like whenever people talk about macros,
Yeah.
what they talk about really is, yo, this guy is shredded, you know, he's counting macros,
Yeah.
you know. So, what is the relationship between the macros and being shredded, basically?
Okay, it's your body composition. How much fat are you holding in comparison to how much muscle you're holding?
Yeah.
For the same body weight.
Okay,
The
so
same
that
body
same
mass.
170. Let's use that guy from here.
Yeah.
170 pounds,
Right.
say about 5'9".
Yeah, so you have this 170 pound person.
Yeah.
You can look at 2 guys, I'm sure you'll see it in the gym, you see it regularly. 2 guys, same height, 170 pounds. One guy looks athletic as well. The other person doesn't look athletic. A little skinny fat.
Skinny fat.
The difference between these 2 individuals is that the skinny fat person has less muscle mass but more body fat.
Yeah.
And the athletic or ripped person has more muscle mass and less body fat.
At the same body weight.
At the same body weight, same body mass.
Same body weight, yeah.
Now, because macronutrients are broken down differently, so like let's say protein, you need protein to build muscle.
Yeah.
If it is, and protein is one of the 3 macronutrients. So if it is you don't have enough protein in your system for your body to maintain that same size, it's going to increase, it's going to maintain your mass, because remember your body is continuously recycling itself. Huh?
Yeah.
It's continuously creating new cells. And
it's rebuilding. It's getting damaged, then rebuilding.
Right.
Damage and rebuilding.
So you're going to continuously rebuild. Let's say protein is low. You don't have the cement, you don't have the raw material to build the muscle, but you have extra carbs, you have extra fats. And these things by themselves can only be stored as fat.
Okay.
So you're going to just be storing fat, and you can't, if your protein is low enough, lose muscle mass
So
as you continue.
Just want to hold on that point,
Yeah.
clear that point. Carbs and fats, once they're not being used by the body, like right now,
Yeah.
they could only be stored as fat.
Yes.
So once once you're not expending that in your daily activities, once it's not being metabolized, it's going to be stored as fat.
Yes. Now carbs can be stored as glycogen in your muscles as well.
Yeah.
But that would normally require that A, there's been something to deplete the glycogen in your muscles, training, working out.
Yeah.
Or B, that there's a deficiency of glycogen currently in your muscles. So like once it is, it's low, your carbs will not come in. And also carbs is broken down to glucose.
Yeah.
And this is, it might be a tangent, I hope it doesn't sound too sciencey.
No.
But the glucose is a very important nutrient, and that is the only thing that your brain metabolizes.
Okay.
It's very important for children when they're growing up to have glucose for the brain development. If it is, your glucose levels are low in your system, you feel lethargic, you feel grumpy.
Yeah.
If it is, so you can't break your body to get that glucose. It needs to break down protein. It's easier for your body to convert protein to glucose than it is to convert fat to glucose.
Okay.
So that if it is somebody is starving themselves, their brain is basically feeding on the
It's fascinating. Continue from
Yeah.
where
just
yeah.
so the yes, so your brain is and then others.
I think more this
So
your brain could only you're saying that it's easy to metabolize protein to glucose.
Exactly. So your body is going to break down the glucose and the proteins in your system to create the glucose for your brain to use or for whatever else needs.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen guys where they say they get only upper body day.
Yeah.
And they say they skip leg day. Now let's say you have that same 170-pound guy and he's not consuming ample protein, but he is eliciting a strong hypertrophy
It's training
upper body really hard, and it's a very anabolic training.
Yeah.
His body still needs protein to build that muscle. Now he's not getting the proteins from the carbs and the fats, so he's going to need proteins from somewhere. And if it is the muscles that are not in use, like your legs, you can actually repartition. So you're losing somebody muscle in your leg and you put it in your upper body.
Also, your body will actually break down muscles to get
Because it
protein.
needs the protein, to use somewhere else. So that's a lot of salt and protein. Fats and carbs are different as well.
Yeah.
As in that, if it is your body is utilizing carbs for energy, it uses ketones.
Yeah.
Fats.
Yeah.
Ketones. Carbohydrates. Use glucose. It breaks down to glucose.
Yeah.
So each macronutrient has a different function. Your body deals with it differently. So what you want to do is find the right ratio for you to get your body composition to look so that your body only is building muscle. It's not storing that much fat. There's a study, and I'm sure we can find it in anything, where you had even sedentary persons on higher levels of protein, ability to maintain, in some instances, even put on muscle mass when compared to other groups where the protein is lower. So as you get older, you start to struggle away, you lose your muscle mass because your body needs the glucose to do running things. Your body needs the proteins to do running things. And if it's efficient, it's going to take it from the muscle. And as a side note, remember we were speaking about all these things if metabolism is constant. Once you lose muscle mass, you also
metabolism will drop.
So you're putting yourself in a worse scenario if it is you continue on a low protein diet.
Makes sense. It makes sense. You know, it goes into protein, and I know you see the science of it.
Yeah.
I think it's understandable.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult to grasp once you actually get it.
Yeah.
I think, like a lot of things though, it is execution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've started, I see you have started the macros, I would say about a week. I would say between a week to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, if I go to my fitness pal, I'll know the exact things. But the two things. Firstly, actually seeing the breakdown of your food, I think is a huge eye opener.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like when it is I actually started to use my fitness pal. You talk about a low protein diet just now. I never considered myself to have a low protein diet. I didn't think I was high on protein by then. I didn't think I had a low protein diet. But when it is you actually look at it, you see you break down your food, sometimes it's like, wow, that is actually what I'm eating.
Yeah, and a T-fed is that sometimes you think you're having a high protein meal, but it's not that much protein. And it might be a high fat meal. Because
that is
fat
another
pairs
thing
with
too.
protein naturally.
Yeah.
When it is you get like raw food, like organic foods.
Yeah.
You get fats with protein. So you think, oh, I'm gonna have this big piece of meat, this is a lot of protein, and you end up eating a lot of fat at the same time.
Yeah, I think that I want to touch on that one too. Fat and protein. Yes, they're usually combined when you naturally occur foods, and that's like a protein bar or whatnot, but they're combined. And the thing is, I don't know if it was probably pro science. It's probably, just assumptions. But for example, full cream milk.
Yeah.
I always considered full cream milk to be the better choice.
Yeah.
Like, I was like growing up and say, okay, skim. No, I don't want skim milk. You need nutrients. You need a strong back, so you want full cream milk.
Yeah.
And then it's only now, like using my fitness pal, starting to go to, I'm like, wait, skim milk actually has more protein than full cream milk.
Yeah, because what you do is you take the same quantity and you extract
the fat. So it condenses it. And then as another thing too, I mean fats. I'm like, wow, there is a lot of fat out there in food. Everyone talks about carbs being horrible, and they have like the low carb diet and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm nothing personally against fats. Actually, interestingly, my taste buds are more attuned to fatty foods.
Because this is a rich taste.
Yeah, it's a rich, creamy taste. And so I like fatty foods. But what is shocking is that it's just how much fat is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking, usually my choices would have been, okay, you know what, I would prefer the food that has just a little bit more fat. Because I like it.
Yeah.
And
there's a rich.
Yeah, it has a little rich taste, so I would go for it. It's only now starting to look at it and say, okay, the foods that are not high in fat still do have fat.
Yeah.
And when it is you look at my fitness pal at the end of the day, you realize that there's still a lot of fat in your diet.
And the numbers add up.
I mean, you say, okay, well, I'm not having the overly fatty foods, but your regular foods do have fat in it. And I will go off on a bit of a tangent here, but what was interesting is, okay, so before I came on macros, where I came from was IF, and then before IF was LCHF, low carb, high fat. I think I mixed up the letters, but yeah, low carb, high fat, almost a paleo diet.
Yeah.
And then I went into IF, and it felt good. It was moving. I liked it and enjoyed it and stuff like that. But the fats, I think now. I mean, people used to kind of comment, like, yo, Bengo, you eating a lot of fats. I was like, yeah, I can handle it. And now, using my fitness pal, I am just. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Seeing how much fats I have now.
Yeah.
I'm even just randomly wondering how much fats was I actually eating.
Yeah.
I mean, I think honestly my body learned to go into ketosis much quicker because
your body adapts.
Yeah, the most shredded, I mean, I'm now on macros, but the most shredded I've ever been was on IF with low carb, high fat.
Yeah.
So my body was going through fat a lot. But I had a lot of fats,
Yeah.
and then now with macros, I'm realizing that it's almost completely different. It's almost like the other side of the coin, where fats are the troublesome one,
Yeah.
but carbs are okay. Carbs
Yeah.
are cool. You can
Yeah.
eat carbs. You know, you're burning through carbs. You know, it's just interesting. I don't know how that's gonna fit in.
One of the things, and it's not to vilify fats. You know, somebody might look at this and come out today and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know, it's a
No, fats are awesome.
you need fats."
I still love peanut butter. Fat has peanut butter has
Yeah,
fats.
you need peanut butter.
You need peanut butter.
Fats also help you maintain your hormones, healthy hormone balances. So you don't want to take fats totally out here.
Yeah.
When I was on IF as well, I played with LCHF as well. But what you find happening is that the fats are more calorie dense than carbs.
Yeah, I think it's nine calories for 1 gram of
Yeah,
fat.
whereas it's 4 to 1
Gram of protein and
carb. So on IF, you have a smaller eating window, so you tend to eat less food. So to make up the calories,
throw on those fats.
yeah, your body tends to crave the fats. You want to make up the calories.
Yeah.
You still want to hit, if it is that same 170-pound guy, he still wants to hit his 23. So he's gonna crave the fats.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the studies, but just anecdotally, I find I get more grumpy when I'm on LCHF.
Okay.
It affects my mood.
Low carb, high fat,
low
yeah.
carbs, you tend to be a little more grumpy.
But I mean, it makes a bit sense
Yeah.
because
It's taking you longer for your brain to get.
it's taking a little. And then also, I mean, when you get a shot of sugar, you know, you get that dopamine rush.
Yeah.
Dopamine is feel good.
Yeah.
Feel happy. You know, it makes sense. I
It
can
makes
understand
sense.
that. You know.
Also, that when it is you're lifting, because the type of training we're doing,
Yeah.
you're in the gym, you're lifting, or you're doing
Lift heavy.
HIIT, or you're doing high intensity interval training and that kind of stuff. That tends to increase your carb metabolism. That type
Okay.
of training. So, and the typical IIFYM, like the formulas that we use to find out what your macros are catered. These formulas are catered for people that are lifting. So, like, if it is you're lifting, your body can handle, your body's threshold for carbs is different from a sedentary person.
Okay.
So when it is you're trying to hold a restricted number of calories, but you want the carbs because your body can handle the carbs better, you realize it tends to skew the ratio, so it looks like a high carb diet.
Okay.
If somebody's not lifting, I don't think that they would
can
really
handle that
that high level of carbs. They may need to bring down the carbs, probably even increase some of the fats, because they don't need that much carbs.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's a one size fits all. You know, different people based on your different activity levels, based on your training. Like, let's say somebody was sedentary, they didn't lift, they're not doing sprints and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Their body's not gonna have the same sort of carb threshold that somebody who's doing that kind of activity
They can't
has.
handle that high
They can't.
carbs.
Yeah, exactly. So they may need more fats to balance to maintain the
to
same.
balance it off. It's interesting. It is interesting, and you know, as you talk about the ratios, you know, one of the thing I would say probably one of the cornerstones. And this is not of the science, this is just lifestyle.
Yeah.
One of the things that I believe in overall fitness is if it doesn't fit your lifestyle as in your day-to-day activities, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to do it on a day-to-day basis. So in that regards, I would say one of the cornerstones of macros is the app MyFitnessPal.
Yeah. I don't know any other app. I'm sure.
They probably are.
I'm not advertising MyFitnessPal. Unfortunately, they're not paying us for this.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any other app that
you know, it's. I would have to be honest, I would have completely written off macros if it wasn't for MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
But and you see the thing about it, which is interesting, and the reason why I brought it up, is it really gamifies the whole macro thing.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I genuinely like. I feel like it's most natural for me. It's IF. I like IF. I like intermittent fasting. I don't like to have breakfast and worry about food and stuff like that. But so when I was starting on the Macros, by the way, my 1 month macro evaluation is a video coming up, so keep in check. Yeah, when I started, I was saying, okay, I was gonna keep on my IF and just add the macros into it, you know, in my same feast period.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as the day went on, as time went on, a couple of days passed, just the desire to plug in your food and see how you are, okay, see how things are going, see what did I eat, how much can I eat. Just having that, I don't know if it's to say it's almost like a game or almost like control, but whatever it is, I never made a decision that I was going to stop my IF, but I just realized that it just fell off of IF.
And you just kind of fall into it.
Yeah, just because like, I wake up and I have my I would kind of plan, okay, well, this is what I want to have, a sandwich with this, with that, protein shake, coffee. I would have that. And I said, okay, well, that would be my breakfast, well, meal one, and that would happen at 3 o'clock. That's when I usually break my fast. And I'm going through the day, and I'm not hungry. Like my body is it's used to IF, so I'm not hungry. But by about 10:30, I just want to plug those numbers in. And so I just want to eat, and just in my mind know, okay, well, this, what I just ate gave me 60 grams of protein, feel good, and you know, you want to do it.
You want to gamify it.
You know, so the app makes it feasible. The app makes it almost, I would say, enjoyable, you know, because, and that's the thing, like, as I just said, it has to fit your lifestyle. You know, you can't go on any diet and exercise are both related. That's why I shouldn't have even used the word diet. Nutrition and diet. Fueling your body for what you're actually doing. They have to go hand in hand. But then something that also goes with that is the lifestyle. Do they fit? And so when you talk about macros, a lot of people think that it's not going to fit their lifestyle. They say, you know what, listen, I can't afford to be thinking about that. And you know, and I have no time, oh my God, to be thinking. And it's a lot of issues. I was like that. I was like, well, I mean, literally, I said, I'm just not ready for the commitment of macros.
You mean to say I have to count every single calorie?
Yeah, because it is a commitment. It's not like that was one of the things that I loved about IF, that you can literally just forget about food for X period of time, and
then you jump on.
Then you jump on. So I was thinking, you know, listen, when I go on macros, it's the opposite. I'm going to be thinking about food right through. It's going to be an issue. But with the app and with that kind of control, it does make it easier.
Makes it easier.
It makes it easier, you know?
Yeah. Because, like, the gamification that the apps have given us is remarkable. I mean, and I think we should take advantage of technology. We couldn't reach the moon, then we got technology that allowed us to do that. We can't connect with somebody in a different country, but nowadays we got phones, now we have internet. Technology makes life easier for us. Before, now, when people were getting ripped from way back. In order for them to get ripped, they would have said chicken breast, they need to have whole grain rice, you need to have your broccoli. Now, if it is your breakdown, that is, rice is just carb, broccoli is fiber, chicken breast is protein and a little bit of fat. So they were hitting their macros without knowing they were hitting their macros. Now, they could not have had cake or something because you don't know how to calculate. So then the whole idea that, well, you know, this is bad for you and this is good for you, and came in. Now, once it is, you have the access to know what is in the food you're eating, then you can gamify it. And you can find a strategy that works for you. For instance, now, just going back to when it is you're checking in on your phone. When I now started, I was going to MyFitnessPal more than I was going to WhatsApp or Instagram. Because it's that addictive. Also, so when it is you plugging in stuff, you can look and gamify the way you want to. Maybe it is, you like your meal prep Sundays, a lot of fitness people do that. So they plan out what they having for the week, and it makes life easier because you know, you kind of know your macros up front, you can calculate them. If it is something comes up on the fly, you can work around it. If it is you want to say, okay, well, you know what, I didn't have a meal prep Sunday, I just hit in each day. Maybe you want to say, okay, well, based on my macro numbers, my percentage, you know, my MyFitnessPal gives you a graph. And you can say, well, from every single time I eat, I'm going to keep the graph looking like this. So that when it is you finish your calories, because the percentages will be the same at the end of the day, you hit your numbers.
True.
Maybe you can break down different numbers. You can get as detailed as you want. You can get as casual as you want, as long as the strategy suits you. And that's why it's gamified, because it's something that you work on and you say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to do it. Maybe it is you eat a lot of your carbs at night. Once it is you hit your numbers. Once you hit your numbers, you're good. Maybe you want to show off in the office and have all your carbs at lunchtime.
And say no,
and still be ripped. However you want to do it, as long as you have a strategy and you can implement it the same way you said.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, it's interesting as you mentioned that meal prep Sunday.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I kind of realized, and you kind of gave me a heads up before I got into macros, and it kind of, well, I'm experiencing it. That once it is at first when you now start, you're learning and you're trial and error, so you're not hitting your numbers, you hit your numbers, you come through.
One day you go far over, one day you far under.
And then when you finally hit it, and you hit it again, and you hit it again, and you hit it again, you realize that your meals, your day-to-day meals become more routinized.
Yeah.
You know, these are the meals that you eat. These are your bread. This is what you have for breakfast.
This is what you have for breakfast.
This is what you have for lunch. This is what you have for dinner. You know, so they become more standard. And it's interesting, you know, it a lot of people will think, you know, it gets boring.
Yeah.
And it can get boring at some times, but then it can be good. It's just something that you have to know. Like how I see it is, I believe that in life, and this is go beyond fitness, this is beyond nutrition, routine helps.
It helps a lot.
Routine
you don't have
helps.
to think and make that decision. You can focus on your work. You can focus
you
on
can
whatever.
Focus on anything, and you just go and you just do it. You know, routine helps. So I don't think anything is truly wrong with that. But if it is you don't like routine in your food, you could still go and eat whatever you want once it makes up your numbers. But I think the point with that though is it will take more work. It will take more effort.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying about the lifestyle, that it has to fit. If it is your lifestyle can afford that you would actively sit down, plan, work out, cook and everything, and a different meal every day to get the same numbers, then cool, fine, go ahead, that's perfect. If it is though that, you know, you have a tighter schedule, something that works out, try and get that routine. Try and get that routine, you know.
And then also one of the benefits about a routine is that because you're eating the same numbers every single day, if it is you stop tracking, you still continue your routine, you will still be hitting your numbers. So that you don't have to be tight to your food. Not that it's bad, I mean it doesn't feel like tedious to plug it in. Because like you said, it's gamified. You look in and you're looking at your points. Excited to do it. You're trying to hit your numbers every day. You say, you know what, if it is I hit these numbers, I will reach my goals. Just on macros alone, when it is I was planning for traffic, I wanted to get to 169 pounds.
That was actually a movie.
That
was coming in,
Boom. Check it out when it comes in. Quickie, I did a plug for you. So like when it is, you can manipulate your calorie intake to hit an exact body weight for an exact point in time. Remember Simone did it too for her wedding. When she says she wants to weigh this by that date, and she was able to do it just by looking at her numbers and manipulating them. Say, okay, well my body is at this weight at these numbers. If it is, I bring it in, and normally once you do your calculations, normally the number you end up playing with is the carb number. So you work your carbs down or up depending on you want to get bigger or smaller, and you reach a size by a certain date, give it enough time. And of course, when you know how your body responds to training and that kind of thing.
That's the benefit. Another benefit too, in terms of that being able to make the changes and know that okay, this physical change was because of that. And when I did this is what happened. You know.
So the next time I want to look like this, I know what I did. So I know what I have to do.
It makes a lot of sense. One of the things we talk about is, so you have what your numbers that you want to hit, and I'm talking not necessarily your your numbers for the actual macros. I'm talking about the overall calorie number. You know, some days you go over, some days you go under, and you're talking about just a bit over and under throughout the week to kind of even out.
Yeah, so at the end of the week, you average. So if it is you have to hit 2,300, and I'm just saying 2,300 because that's the number we used before, daily, and you hit 25 one day, but the other day you drop, so you hit 21. I mean, and you're varying like that. At the end of the week, you've hit your 23.
Yeah.
A daily, and so you're gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna average out. Yeah.
You're gonna average out. Now you have different strategies for that. In that some people, and they're doing it successfully. You have friends doing it, who will play with a week. So like they overdid it one day, maybe they shoot on the next day. You overdid it one day. I, for instance, on some days, if I do an intense workout, I'll overeat on that day.
Yeah.
But it happens naturally because you don't feel as hungry on the days you don't.
True.
One of the gamification strategies I find that works when it is I'm really in a routine though, is that just to respect the macro resets. And every day, at the end of the day, that's it.
Yeah.
New day starts.
24 hours.
24 hours, 12 a.m., bam, clean slate. The reason why is I was looking at some RSA animated videos, and they were talking about confession, about the Catholic thing of confession, and how it actually helps people be better. And they were trying to figure out why does that help people be better, and they say it's the clean slate.
Yeah.
That whenever you give somebody
guilt-free conscience.
Yeah, you give somebody a clean slate, it's easier for them to hit their targets because they feel fresh.
Yeah, they don't feel like they have that baggage.
Yeah. So that if it is just clean slate every day, and after maybe you overshoot it one day, maybe you overshoot it the next day. On the third day, you're not feeling like, oh my God, I have to go and eat so little bit now. No, just try and hit your numbers that day. The next day, you try and hit no again.
That was actually a good idea.
Yeah, and in my experience, that makes it a lot more manageable and sustainable.
I think when I say manageable too, it's mentally manageable in the sense that when you tell someone, okay, listen, you need to revamp your diet.
Yeah.
They think, oh my gosh, this is a huge deal. This is big. This is that. Listen, 24 hours at a time.
Yeah, 24 hours at a time. In 24 hours, and when you hit these numbers.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, cool. Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with that. That makes a lot of sense.
Long term, you're gonna get them in. They're gonna win in, and they're gonna be able to hold it for longer, as opposed to you end up in one set of debt to yourself.
Yeah.
A caloric debt, and things start to go crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. One of the things I'm still playing up with, and I think I want to do a bit of a research on it, is sugar in terms of the carb. Because sugar is a carb.
Yeah.
You put it in, MyFitnessPal is going to come up as a carb. But there still is information, there still is literature proven that, you still have to keep an eye on sugar.
Yeah.
You can't just say, okay, well, listen, I need to make up XYZ carbs, so it's okay to have that juice with an extra spoonful of sugar. Yes, you will make up your carbs, and you may get ripped.
Yeah.
The science is there, the proof is there that you will get ripped. You hit your numbers. But my concern, or I would more say my interest, is how does stuff like sugar come in?
It's difficult to kind of test the practical application of it.
Yeah.
In the sense that if it is you're having a lot of sugar regularly, unless it is you have a very, very large number of carbs to consume a day.
Yeah.
And normally people with that much, maybe a bodybuilder is a lot,
Yeah.
healthy bodybuilders. It's difficult to have a lot of sugar frequently throughout the day and still make your carb numbers. You're going to generally overshoot the numbers. So, metabolic syndrome and diabetes and all these kind of things that they talk about. They say, well, watch the sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it is you watching your carb numbers, you're not going to be able to eat that much sugar. And because you're not going to get full with the sugar. Whereas suppose they would say, well, complex carbs, well, that's basically carbohydrates plus fibers.
Yeah.
So like you're eating baked potatoes and rice and these kind of stuff. you're gonna get full on less carb.
Yeah.
So in practice, it's not, how do I say it? In practice, the sugar is not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to be able to hit your numbers by consuming sugar. You'll still be hungry. You will still need more food.
Okay.
Because sugar is very dense.
Yeah.
Sugar is very dense. So unless it is, you have a lot of carbs to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And probably you probably have to look at somebody who's been, not to jump the gun, reverse dieting for a while.
Yeah.
And sticking their carb intake high to test how they respond to just sugar alone. But as until now, I don't think we've seen that study done.
True.
It's difficult to apply in real life. Somebody who's eating a lot of sugar regularly, they
more than likely they're not hitting their carbs.
Yeah, they overshoot.
Or not hitting, they're overshooting.
They're overshooting their carbs. So to feel full, you're gonna need the fiber. You're gonna need to, and even though, and just a side plug for fiber. Fiber is technically not a macronutrient.
Okay.
It's fat, carb, and protein. But you watch your fiber. Because once you start getting into gamifying macros, you realize they have stuff like protein isolates and stuff that make it easier and give you the luxury to have junk food. Which is why people ask how it is macro people on Pop-Tarts and all this kind of stuff. It's because 9 out of 10 times, these same people, I want to say 10 out of 10, but I don't know every single one who's doing it, are supplementing their protein intake with some sort of, maybe it's whey or it's some sort of protein supplement. So that it gives them the luxury to make up the carbs with something else and not in organic foods.
But this is actually something that you said there, which a personal, I wouldn't say beef, but something that I think needs to be said about macros is technically every food or any kind of food is free game.
Yeah.
You can hit
as
anything.
long as it can fit.
Yes.
As long as you can make it fit, you can have it.
But I think is false advertising. You get a lot on Instagram and stuff like that about people throwing anything down that it hits your macro, and they can eat it and still be ripped. Yes, you can do that, but these foods, they make the rest of your day so difficult.
Yes.
Yes, you can have.
So that you take a picture of the ice cream and the cake, but what you're not taking a picture of is the salad that you have.
The rest of exactly
the chicken breast, skinless.
It is insane.
Because in order to make up the difference.
That is what I'm saying. That
fibers,
it is good for. I mean, it is nice. You want to show off. You throw these things down, but what people need to kind of also know, and that's why I say it's not fully false advertising. But people need to know, people should realize, listen, yes, you can eat that, but it
has to be in context.
It is going to throw off your day.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I'll tell you, I went to
unless you plan it in advance. So I'm going to have that. So I'm going to eat.
But that's what I'm saying. That, you have to plan, but it makes so much difference. I'll tell you an example. I went to the beach this weekend and had some fried fish.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, okay, you know what? I know I need to hit my protein.
Yeah.
I don't want to overdo it, but I want to get my protein. So I spoke to Lee and I said, okay, listen, it's fry, bake, and fish. I don't want 2 fry, bake, and fish. I just want 1, but give me 2 servings of the meat.
Yeah.
So I say, okay, cool. So it's 1 piece of bake and 2 servings of meat. I was like, cool, this is good. Threw it in there, and it was picture worthy.
Yeah.
And that is not even assuming, I didn't even put like some of the garlic sauce and the mayonnaise and stuff like that, the creamy fats. But when I actually plugged it in, the fried fish, the amount of fat, I actually went over my daily fat intake. So it was a nice food, it was a nice meal, I got to show people, but I was over my fat intake, I was under my calorie, I could have made up with carbs, but after that, I was left with the unachievable task. I would say unachievable just because I wasn't able to achieve it. How do I get my protein to this level?
Yeah.
Get my carb
on
to this
such
level.
Poverty.
I wouldn't even say I was on debt fat on that. It took me past. And so yes, it is possible, but people have to remember it does require a lot of shenanigans. Like when you see on IG someone puts an awesome meal, like a red
and just
jump
high
out,
fat,
high fat. I think high fat is the bigger one.
Yeah.
You can deal with carbs.
Yeah.
But people put like a high fat meal.
They're not showing you the other meals.
They're not showing you the headache for the rest of the day.
The protein isolate.
The
fiber. And
fiber. And that's even an interesting thing because I find it difficult to get those carbs without fat. Like Alex, like Sunday, I went over I wasn't by that much. I was just like about 0.2 gram, minus 2 grams over my fats. But it still meant I can't have fats. Yeah. But I still had about 100 grams of carbs.
Yeah. So how do you make up?
How do I make up 100 grams of carbs with no fat?
Zero fats. Yeah.
It was
bread and jam.
Bread and jam.
Yeah.
Fruits. I guess fruits. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is something that you have to.
Guinness is zero fat.
Alcohol. Yeah. Guinness is good. Yeah. But you know, it just goes to show. Listen, it is possible, but you still need to eat sensibly. Yeah. You still need to be sensible about
everything in context.
Everything in context. You know, everything I mean, like so. If it is you want to have, I would honestly say, like, you know, most people go on macros not because it's healthy. It is healthy, but not because it's the healthy option. They want to go because they want to get it.
Yeah. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Bad manners. Yeah. That's why people go.
To do anything like that, to achieve anything like that, you need consistency. Yeah. If it is you are eating all this high fat junk food, it is possible. Yeah. But can you really? It makes it difficult for you to hit that consistently. You can't. I mean, yeah, you could, but I mean, it takes up so much. If you're not doing anything and you like with your day, you don't have work, you're a paid fitness model, and you could spend your whole day on shenanigans trying to find
the match numbers.
Yeah, then cool. Yeah. But I think honestly, for you to get this on a consistent flow, and this is me from the outside saying, I think a lot of macro people might get vexed, so FYI might get vexed. But for you to do this properly, for you to have a flow, for you to be consistent with it, I still think you need to eat healthy.
Yeah, well, I mean, macro.
Yeah. I mean, healthy because
traditionally healthy foods
have good macros.
Will hit you.
They will hit your macros. So don't